Welcome to the Slamming Door Sessions, a reality creation podcast where we slam the door to anything that is not our ideal. With your amazing hosts, Jaye Woww, Kristen MF Clark, and authentic Cintia Sena Serravalle. Join us in a radical embodiment of our ideal states.
Ta-da! Yay!
Ta-da.
Welcome everybody to the Slamming Door Sessions.
Welcome.
Episode 2. Dos. Episode 2.
Yeah.
Duh.
Sounds a little harsh.
So today we are going to be drink a little coffee. So if you don't have your coffee yet, go get it.
Oh, we're matching. Look.
See?
It's like the official color of the Slamming Doors.
Yeah, it is pretty.
And for those of you that don't know, Cynthia is in France. Where in France?
It's a city called Nantes.
Nice.
Oh,
And Jay is in Florida, California. United States, Florida, California.
that'll be an interesting state.
I know. Well, I think you kind of are. And I'm not even awake yet, obviously, in California. And today we're going to be talking about who we are, what are basically our autobiographies, but from a space of the Slamming Door Sessions, which is not accepting anything other than your ideal and understanding that you are the God of your life, and any memories you have that maybe aren't too pleasant to remember can be revised at any time. And then they have that memory you insist on has far-reaching effects throughout your family, your friends, what you start remembering, and things do start shifting. So we're going to talk about that today. We're going to talk about whatever else comes up. We've already been chatting for about 20 minutes.
Yeah.
And I'm going to let the other ladies go.
Yeah, so we were already chatting before we started recording, and since everything we share is such gold, we were thinking that maybe we can continue the conversations, but that you guys can listen to it if you're, of course, interested, which you probably are. And so we were talking a little bit about how we were introduced to the law of assumption, to manifestation. And so, Kristen, would you like to share a little bit how it was for you?
Yeah, we were talking about when I first heard about The Secret way back in, 1996, I think it was. It first came out as a movie or whatever. And I was very excited. I just moved into a space of, yay, like you had a party and you were the only one there. And now all of a sudden, finally, people are arriving and you're like, woo, I'm not alone. And I really, truly feel, for as long as I can remember, I've always known we are the operant power of our reality. This is my reality, and everything that I choose to allow and accept and desire is all mine. It's all there. And I love that through my whole life, as the youngest of 6, I've always been supported in this. I remember once I was very little and I was sitting on the floor playing with my toys, and I had short hair, and I would take a long sleeve shirt and I'd take it almost off to where it was here. And so and I would pretend like this long sleeves and everything were my hair. And I'm sitting on the floor in that wonderful outfit, playing with my toys, and my father comes over and he's just like, what are you doing? And I'm just like, I'm playing. And he goes, what do you got on your head? And I'm like, it's long hair. So he goes and he gets a shirt and he does the same thing. And this is a father who, I'm the youngest of 6. So by the time I came around, this guy's probably like, oh, and he was 40 years old when I was born. So, this is a 46-year-old doctor who works all the time and has 6 kids. So and yet he took the time to don a long hair shirt and come and sit down with me. And and just always be very interested in what it was I had to say. It was never like, oh, that's your imagination, or, oh no, that's not possible. My life was never that way. I was always highly, highly supported in whatever, I came up with. And I love it, but I love just remembering through my whole life that this has always been my world. This has always been my world. I learned a long time ago, I can't tamp this down. It's like people who are homosexual and they finally say, okay, I am, I can't pretend to be something I'm not anymore. And what I really, really love is the more I accept me and embrace my memories that I love and adore, the more people are doing the same thing. The more people around me will reflect that, right? All of a sudden the conversations are always around this, living in the ideal. Oh my God, let me tell you what happened. Oh my God, let me tell you how awesome my childhood was. Oh my God, it's always that. The more I am arms wide open going, yes, I can do anything. I really can. This is my reality. I don't need to become some master that has, meditated for 50 years. You can do that, but you don't have to. There's always an easier, more fun way. And the fun thing is the more I embrace me, the easier and easier and easier it is. And this is all just new for me to see this. The more I envelop who I am and how wonderful my life has been and how exciting and how fun, the more exciting and fun and wonderful things, memories pop up, constantly pop up. And I can sit there and analyze them and go, is this real or is this made believe? Or I can just go, oh, that was awesome. I like that memory, and just keep going forward. I don't know if any of you guys have any questions or anything for that, but or just comments. You guys can go now.
I love that. I love that your father encouraged your imagination. I think that's beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's really beautiful. Yeah. My parents knew who they were. And I remember my mom, even though she always knew who she was, and my dad did as well, but I specifically remember my mom still exploring. She would read books by like Wayne Dyer. She would read other philosophies, just exploring different ideas. And I love that so much, because even though I've always known who I am, as far as being the operant power as well, I've always known I'm infinite abundance, that I am love. It's so cool to just explore different takes on those topics, and especially meeting people like-minded, who know who they are, and it's just priceless.
Yeah. Before we go forward anymore, I do want to say to anybody that's listening, this is about telling our stories from a space of empowerment. No matter what our stories are, coming from a space of empowerment, always stepping into your God mind and so, if you're feeling like, oh, well, they all had perfect childhoods, that's not me. That's not what's going on here. We are claiming, we are demanding, we are slamming the door on any childhood that isn't perfect, isn't our idea.
So speaking about that, before I share a little bit about my story. So to me, the reason Kristen talked about revision, right? She mentioned revision, and maybe not all of our listeners or the people on YouTube know what that is. So basically, it's just choosing the story that you want to tell yourself. And we are always telling ourselves a story about who we are. And the thing is, you can say, oh yeah, these are my memories. So this is what is true. This is the reality. But the way I see it, every memory is just an imaginary scene. Yes. So it is a scene that we are creating in our minds. And the same way we can visualize something for our future by making a scene in our imagination, the scenes that we have in our imagination about what we believe is past are exactly the same. It's just another imaginary scene that we are playing in our minds, because the way I see it, time is an illusion. So there is no past, then there is no future. There is only now. There's always the present moment. So whatever I choose to imagine about my future, I get to imagine and choose about my past. And so I get to choose what is real for me, who I am at every single moment. So if we choose to use our vision and to choose a different story of the ones that we are currently playing in our minds, it's not that that is not real and that the old story of the memories that I already had, that is real. I say everything is real or even more real. You know, there is no false or not real memory or story. We get to choose whatever we want, and everything is real or more real. You know, so here we get to tell the stories about one story that we've been playing in our minds, and maybe the new story that we choose to play now in our minds about who we are. And I learned hypnotherapy with a very wonderful teacher, and she always said, the stories that you are telling about yourself, all those negative stories and the negative memories and blah, 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 all that is already a lie. So tell yourself a better lie. And so, yeah, and she's actually just published a book, I think, that's called Tell Yourself a Better Lie. So I love that. I love that. And that is pretty much what revision is. We're telling ourselves a better lie, or you can see we have this reality. Now, this is even more real for me. And this is the reality that I choose. This is the story about myself that I choose. So yeah, now going back to the subject, we were talking about how we were introduced to manifestation, or, you know, this spirituality. And so Kristen was saying that she has always known, she has always felt this spiritual truth, her power, you know, her true self. And then she was seeing around her people catching up to that. And to me, actually, I felt that it was the other way around. Like, there was this thing going around me, like even in my family. And I've always been an open-minded person. But I remember, and I don't remember if I told you this story, maybe I did, that even my father would talk about the spiritual things. And I remember he was telling me years ago about how he was learning to astral project. And he was in a church because his teacher that was teaching him to astral project, they were go to the same church together. And he told me that once he was at the church and he already knew how to astral, well, he already knew, he was learning. And so he was sitting in the church and he started to think about a place, right? And somehow he left, like his spirit left his body. And he told me that his teacher was in the room and he saw that his spirit was leaving the body. And so what his teacher said was, I saw you left in spirit, so I left in spirit to go with you to make sure that you were okay, that you were not afraid, and blah, blah, blah. And when my father told me this story, this guy had already passed away. So his teacher had already passed away. But when he told me the story about this guy saying, yeah, I saw you astral project, so I went out in spirit to go with you. And he said this guy was telling, I left in spirit to go with you, as if he was saying, I made myself a cup of coffee, you know? And for him, it was so, yeah, I left in spirit to go with you to make sure you were fine, you know, like, no big deal. And I was like, holy shit, who was this guy? Why are you telling me this? But he's already dead. Like, I want to know this guy. I want to have a conversation with him. I want to, and that is a memory that I will always cherish, because it kind of just introduced me to this idea of there is more, you know, and what is out there. But I never, you know, it was so interesting. And I still remember, and I still joke with one of my sisters whenever we do something that's very hard, but that it was kind of, yeah, I did it like that. We always say, yeah, and I left in spirit, because, you know, it was so normal. Like we joke about that still today. But that was the moment I think that was very like, wow, and this is like normal in my family, like, you know, it's things that happen in my family. So
Cool.
yeah. And then, I mean, years later, I learned about The Secret, you know, and I was introduced to manifestation. But at that moment, I just didn't like, oh yeah, nice movie, you know, and then I kept living my life. Like I didn't say like, oh, let me try this or let me understand this or all those things. I didn't explore it any further. It was like, oh, interesting. And then I kept living my life. And then years after that, things started to happen in my life where I would really see the connection and the synchronicities and this is weird, basically. Like there's something more. I just started to see these things happening in my life, and I was like, what's going on here? Something's up, right? And then I started to pay attention, and then I started to see multiple times in different situations, like over a couple of years, that I would still see these synchronicities and these huge changes happened. When I would change, huge things would change at the same time. And I was like, what is going on here, you know? And then I remember one of the first things that I manifested consciously, it was an apartment. And then I remember that I wanted to buy this apartment, and it was perfect. It was even better than what I could have expected to have. And then I remember that the owner said, oh, someone already offered the full price, so you cannot have it. And at that time, I was doing this when I had finished a 21-day meditation challenge. And one of the meditations was to visualize yourself with your wish fulfilled, you know, and it was by Deepak Chopra. And when they said no, I remember that meditation and I said, let me try it. I mean, they already said no, so what is there to lose? And then I did the meditation and I had this feeling of satisfaction of the wish fulfilled. And 3 days later, they said, it's yours, you know? And I was like, wow, what is this? And then I started to look and I started to search, like, what is happening here? And then I learned, I found again The Secret, and I learned about the law of attraction. And then a couple of months later, I learned about Neville and the law of assumption. And that's how all this madness started. But it was so much fun. So yeah, that's my story.
You know what? I love all that so much. And I love, you were talking in the beginning about memories and what they are. And I mean, they really actually, the memories are so malleable, because if you've ever been this is what happened, and it happened on this date, and this is the way it happened. And you can be so solid in your conviction of that memory. And then here comes somebody and they're like, no, it didn't happen that way. Don't you remember? It happened this way and this way. And all of a sudden, it changes. That memory that you were so solid with, you're suddenly going, oh yeah, I remember. You're right. It did happen that way. And that's revision. And you did it without trying, you know, and it was somebody, and my son and I do this all the time. I'm always like, yeah, it happened this way. And he's like, Mom, no, it didn't. It happened this way. And all of a sudden now I see two different memories of the exact same situation, but two different offerings. And I love what you said, because it's so true. Memories are just thoughts. They're just thoughts you're having right now. You've given them the name memory versus thought, but it's just a process going on in your mind. And what it is whatever you're thinking about right now, you are pulling up thoughts named memories that are supporting whatever it is you're talking about or remembering or whatever right now, whatever you're feeling, whatever mood you're in, whatever it is you're talking about. Now, all of a sudden, you're creating all these memories to support it. So there's no reason why at any time you can't say, that's not the memory I want to remember. no, that's not the way I want it to happen, because you do it all the time. And all the time you bring to you people all the time that go, no, that's not the way it happened. And now all of a sudden you have a whole new memory, and your whole lifeline, if you want, just shifted. And it's so amazing. So when you start doing that, like you said, consciously, when you start manifesting consciously, I love that you said that, by the way, because we manifest all the time, but you said manifest consciously. And I went, ooh, that was good. You know, it's just so crazy. Your whole life just takes off into the stratosphere of who you are and where you are. And I love that. So thank you.
Yeah, I love that we came back around to memories and revision, because it's really, you know, it's so pivotal, because really our life is a series of moments and memories, and in our imagination, we're just constantly recalling something. There's some sort of something present. And so back to the hypnotherapy stuff too, I took a few classes in hypnotherapy, and the teacher was talking about how each time you remember something, something's going to be slightly different. So kind of like that, create a new, what was the name of the book, Cynthia?
Tell Yourself a Better Lie.
Tell Yourself a Better Lie. Yeah. So he was pointing that out as well. And it really solidified that this is all creation. And even like, you know, false confessions, those are real things that happen where people are just, you know, they're creating these memories all the time. So when it comes to revision, that's something I've really dove into and have been diving into the past several years. And, you know, I do it because I just love that it creates an instant shift in me. I'm able to instantly change my state. And, you know, I do know that it does change past events. Like, and this is like one of Neville Goddard's, I don't know. A lot of people say, I thought he was wacky when I first heard that. I actually was like, oh no, that's cool. Like when I first heard about it, I was like, it actually made sense to me. Which is, you know, which is kind of funny, but it's kind of like in your imagination, there's only the present moment. So if you revise something, you're going to get that instant state shift now. And if I experience that in my imagination, and I experience that state shift and that shift in my body, that shift in consciousness, that shift in awareness, I'm very happy with that. And I've used it on I've used it on childhood. I've used it on relationships. I've used it on finances, and just, you know, seen instant results. There was a house. Yeah. There was a house we were selling, and the realtor was like, oh, well, no, you won't be able to get this price. And I said, nope, we're getting this price and probably more. And we're going to sell it on this date. You know, I revised like all the things that she said. She said it was going to take this amount of time and it's going to be sold for this amount. And I said it out loud. A lot of times I'll just do it in my own head, but I just said no. And it actually sold on the exact day that I revised it to. So, you know, yeah, it's fun. It's just, fun.
That's the bottom line. It's just freaking fun.
Exactly.
It's just fun. And I think the minute we turn anything that feels like fun, the minute we turn anything like that into, well, how? Now we've slowed it down to a process that you have to be taught. And now it's not fun anymore, because it's like when it first comes up to you, like Cynthia with the whole, you know, astral projecting, it was like, oh, tell me more. I want to, and then now she's like, oh shit, the guy's dead. Now I can't learn. But it's like, no, you do it all the time without thinking. It's like breathing. It's as easy as smiling. The minute we're like, oh, well, how do I do it? You just shifted to a state of how. Whereas a minute before you were in the state of wow, as Jaye Woww says, you know, no hows, only wows. And, you know, at any time now you can revise that. Oh no, I just was like fun, you know, and I mean, it's like little kid at at a playground. He doesn't have to be shown how to go down a slide. He doesn't have to be shown how to play with that dirt over there or eat the sand. Just does it because it's fun. And, you know, I think that is just so, for me, that's a huge part of the slamming door, is the minute something comes up in me of that slows it down to how, that I just slam the door on that and go, no. I'm going back to that excitement, that initial excited, yes. And I'm right there with you in revision. Oh my God, my favorite. I do it all the time. And I love that you said you do it with finances. You do it with the house. That was the best story ever, by the way. I love that you say all that, because this is exactly it. You know, you pull up your bank statement and you can go, no, I'm going to revise that. And now you just put it aside, and you don't have to sit there and focus. And yeah. And these guys know I have a billion amazing revision stories but it's always about just, yeah. And you can say real-time revision, that you're doing this right now, but it actually is the past. Like the story of my friend with the boss. And, you know, where she just decided that everything he was saying to her right there was not what he was saying. He was saying, and you can do this with anything. We were saying it with how we look, you know, if you're like, oh, I looked horrible in that video or whatever, you revise it. You just revise that. No, I looked great. And now it's just so wonderfully easy. I love it.
Yay.
So would you like to start telling our stories from our ideal story now? we kind of shared some things, but you know, like the full autobiography. Yeah, sure. I think we've been recording for 20 minutes, but it's fine if we just go a little longer, I don't think. Yeah. So this is my life story from my ideal, and it's true and even more true, like I was saying before. So can you guys hear a little sound? Yeah, that's my cat trying to come into the room.
Consistent door slamming.
Yeah, she's slamming the door a lot.
She is. She's perfect.
She's slamming the door on you, keeping her out of her room, man.
Yeah.
I thought it was somebody doing construction work.
No, she's just in the door trying to.
And that's the cat you manifested.
Yeah, that's my out of thin air cat.
You gotta let Millie. Is it Millie?
Millie. Yes.
You gotta let her.
Okay,
in.
I will let her in.
Millie, she's okay. So for those of you guys that don't know the story of Cynthia and Millie, this just recently happened with all of us. She was saying she wanted a loving cat, because the cat she has is those types where you pet it and it eats you. So she just walked in her house one day. She was thinking she wanted a loving cat, a loving, sweet kitty. And she walked in the house one day, and there sitting on the stairs was this cat. And it was just the most, and we got to sit there and observe and witness this most loving, adorable, you should see this cat. It was wrapped around her arm, just like, oh, I love you. And she just poof, you know, she just manifested exactly what she wanted, like that. It was so cool.
Yeah. And of course, in the beginning, I was like, whose cat is this? So I started to check with all my neighbors and all of that. And he was like, no, not mine. She's been like, no. And so
now she's yours.
It was my cat all along from the beginning. So she wants to be with me all the time, basically. So that is why she's knocking down the door.
How awesome that you've got something that adores you. So, you know, such extreme amount of adoration there.
Yes. So let me share my story. This is my life story. Like I shared with the ladies, I wrote my autobiography and it was a huge success, New York Times bestseller. And so I have the manuscript here, which I'm going to share a little bit with you so I don't forget about any interesting, juicy parts. So I come from a long line of successful entrepreneurs. My mom had her private nurses company, and my dad a construction company that he inherited from my grandparents. I grew up in a beautiful big house located in a beautiful and affluent neighborhood in Buenos Aires, Argentina, because that's where I'm from. My house and many of the other houses in the neighborhood were built by my dad's company. And my family has always been wealthy. My grandparents from both sides had a lot of money that had been passed on for generations. So we are actually what is known as old money. And they left 2 million euros in a trust fund for me and the same amount for each of my siblings. From a very young age, my parents would read to us Think and Grow Rich and the works of Neville Goddard because they were already aware of who they are. And little cat paws. They were already, of course, aware of their God states, living from their God state. And so they would teach us from a very young age how to manifest, who we were, who we are. And so, yeah, that was every weekend. I remember we would sit down and they would also read to us Think and Grow Rich, for specifically making our fortune grow easily, effortlessly. And basically to manifest anything that we wanted so easily and effortlessly. I took dancing and singing lessons from a very young age, ballet, tango, and salsa. And I've always had a flexible, strong, and lean body and great coordination and grace. I've always been admired for my dancing and singing skills and my talent. I've always had partners that were incredibly good-looking gentlemen who adored me and treated me like the goddess and the queen that I am. And they were also amazing dancers, even better than me, and master manifestors living in their God state. I've always expressed myself freely and confidently, and it's always been beneficial for everyone. Every time I speak is beneficial for everyone. My family has always been admired by our community because we always get what we want completely effortlessly. I've always had amazing friends with whom I have deep and meaningful friendships, and they are all master manifestors, aware of and living as their God self. And since childhood, they always come over for afternoon tea. Those who live in other countries, I still see regularly. We just take a private jet and it's really easy. And they love coming to my afternoon tea parties. During those parties, when I was little, I remember that they will tell me how much they admire my family because we always get what we want so easily. And they would ask me like, how do you do it? What's your secret? And then of course I told them like, our secret is that we are all master manifestors and that we are all God and that we are all aware of who we are. And so then they remember that they are also God, having a human experience, a human adventure. So now they are all master manifestors. Becoming an entrepreneur myself was so easy because I have it in my blood. So being successful was completely easy and effortless from the very beginning. All of my businesses have been hugely successful from the very beginning. And I have many successful businesses. So if I had to tell you about all of them, we would be here for a year. But just to say that all of my businesses are huge successes. My clients and customers are always eagerly waiting to work with me or to buy my products. And I remember specifically because we've always loved having so much money in my family that I remember seeing when I was young and my younger siblings were like asking like, oh, what are you going to do with your 2 million euros that they're coming soon? And I was like, oh, I was very inspired by my older sister because when she got her 2 millions, she decided to invest a huge part of it. And I was like, I'm going to do it like she did. I'm going to invest. And I remember my mom saying like, okay, let me just prepare a meeting with you and our wealth manager so that he can start giving you ideas of where you can invest. And oh my God, since then, it's been so much fun. investing my money. He gave me such great ideas, great suggestions, and I've been investing money like, my money came, like my 2 million came when I turned 21, but even before I was already investing money. And so for me now, investing money is like, it's like breathing, and being successful with it and having huge returns is like, yeah, easy as smiling, like Kristen said earlier. So I've been doing it my entire life, and it's so easy, effortless, and I will have huge returns. So yeah, that's a little bit about myself.
Oh my God, that was so good. That was so good. I have to say, the shift you just made from when you were just reading about your life, that was beautiful. And it was like the best bedtime story ever. But man, when you start talking about investing your money, you shifted huge. You went into just, you were talking so fast, and so you were just like, oh my God, you just brightened up. And that was it. You truly shifted. That was in fact, I'm inviting anybody who's watching this, rewind and watch that sudden shift from where she was reading to where she looked right in the camera and she started just going about the money. I love wealth managers. That's the best word. That was the best label ever. Oh, that was so cool to watch that. That was awesome.
It was beautiful. It was really beautiful. And I love the detail. I love how you just exude confidence, and you just exude being someone who's always been wealthy, and you've always known who you are. It's just a beautiful story. The singing and dancing, I look forward to seeing more of that. And yeah, and then I don't know, you didn't mention the tea parties today, but those were epic.
Yes, I did.
Oh, you did? Okay.
Yeah.
I missed it. Those are always
my
epic.
Afternoon tea parties.
Yeah, she said
always
people
epic.
still come over for them.
Okay.
Yeah. I love that.
And it's funny, Kristen, that you said that when I stopped reading and actually embody fully, and I actually felt it, because I was like, okay, let me read. I wrote my life story and this is the story. But then it was like, let me stop and, detach from the reading and just be. Yeah. And I actually felt it myself. So yeah.
For me right now, I have tulips are blooming everywhere. It was like watching one come up out, the most beautiful, gorgeous tulip you've ever seen. Just, you get to watch it come up and open, and you're just going, whoa. That's what that was like for me. I was just like, look at her go, oh my God.
Thank you.
Yay.
What about you, ladies? Tell me.
You can go, Jen, if you want, or I can go.
Sure, I'll go.
Yay.
Okay, so I'm Jaye Woww. J stands for jubilant, abundant, yes, and effortless entrepreneur. So I come from a long line of conscious millionaire manifestors. So right out of the gate, my parents used to actually attend Neville Goddard's lectures. They used to just hop over from Connecticut to New York City, just take the train right in. And so they were some of Neville Goddard's top students, and they would read me his lectures, they would read me his books. And I just heard the most wonderful, beautiful things from my parents' ideal state while I was cooking in the womb. And so when I spoke my first words, it was to nobody's surprise that my first words were, I am infinite abundance. And so, it took place actually at a party. And so they were like, oh, I think she's going to say something. And then, so those were my first words. I said, I am infinite abundance. And then everybody just sort of cheered and clinked their glasses. And they were just like, they weren't surprised, but they were like, cool, she already knows it. So, so that was fun. That was in a movie that they made about my life called Jaye Woww's Billions. So, yeah. So, I grew up basically knowing that I'm the operant power. And so my whole life, I've just experienced the most wonderful, just the most amazing life, the most fun. in all areas. So, spiritually, I've kind of already spoken about that, knowing who I am and just knowing that my imagination is God and myself as God. So whatever I want to experience, I just go ahead and decide that's what I'm going to experience. So, that's more about spiritually. So physically, I've always been thriving. My body's always been perfect. Every cell, every organ, every muscle, every follicle, every part of my body has always been thriving. I've always felt amazing. I've always had wonderful natural energy that flows like a million waterfalls. My relationships have always been wonderful. I've always had just beautiful relationships with friends, romantically. I've always had wonderful, deeply fulfilling romantic relationships. And my partner that I've been with for more than 12 years, we just grow in love more and more every single day. And it's like heaven on earth. We have fun just chilling in the house in our PJs, and we have fun going out and about and exploring, just going to the store. It just doesn't matter. It's like a party of fun. And financially, of course, as you can imagine, knowing that I come from a long line of conscious millionaires, and also I'm an entrepreneur. So financially, I've always been wealthy. And, my business, having this knowledge and always striving to experience the most fun, just always having the most fun and imagination, and just coming up with the most fun-filled examples of what that looks like. So that's what my business is, and my website, Wish Fulfilled Thinking. So wfthinking.com is my business website. And yeah, it's just been fun. So I think that's probably a good summary for now of my autobiography.
You know what I love is that your movie, Jaye Woww's Billions, kind of set the foundation for amazing movies. It just kind of started a whole new trend of empowerment movies, not movies where you have to have a villain or a movie where you have to have the victimization or anything like that. It took the whole movie industry up to a whole new level of just a success, just success. Just a story that starts from success to success and builds to even more of a crescendo of ultimate success. And that it got such enormous reviews. It made so much money. That everybody else is like, oh, I got that. That's the way to do it. And the old stories of, there being a villain and violence and all of that, that is just, that's just fallen away. You just don't see movies like that anymore. And I love that your movie was the trendsetter for that. I love that.
Thank you. Yeah, that's one of the main themes of the movie, is that no matter how much money I spend, circulate, invest, it always comes back at least a multiplier of 10 times. And some of the comments I've gotten on the movie are, they've decided to go 20 times, 100 times, 1,000 times that amount. And so thank you for, sharing about how it really has. We don't have to have some weird drama that we're supposed to feel like these crazy emotions about all these just bizarre, circumstances or whatever.
But I love that. I love that. It completely erased the need for there to be a drama to fix, or, there to be something to overcome. It totally erased that. And that it was just like, wow, oh my God, yes. I love that.
Yeah, I also love that movie. And I remember, because I have so much money. And at one point I was like, okay, I don't even know what to do anymore. What do I do with all this money? And I remember that when I watched your movie, I was like, oh, look at her go. Look how she circulates this money. And I got so many great ideas on how to have even more fun that I was having with money. So that was such a great movie. I love it. And also something that I really love is that your family was such a blessing for everyone, because they were, the concept of conscious millionaire or billionaire was such a wonderful introduction for all the entire world on how to be wealthy successfully and effortlessly, and also that there is no negative part of money, like money can only be wonderful, and you can only do wonderful things with money, and having money is such a blessing. And so your family has contributed so much to the general wealth of the entire world, because thanks to them, everyone in the world has now such a wonderful relationship with money, and we are all thriving. And that was introduced by your family to the entire world. So that is a family of visionaries, and yeah, that was amazing. So thank you for that.
You're very welcome, and thank you. I know my family was also inspired by what your family was able to create and what Kristen, MF, and Clark has been able to create around abundance. So thank you.
Yes, very nice. Love this. So we're probably at about half an hour. I'm more than happy to keep going if you want, or we can do my story the next time around, whatever feels right for you guys.
So next time we will have our first guest.
Oh, that's right. So I better go.
Yeah.
Well, hold on.
Hold on to your hats. Hold on to your hats. I'm going to strap myself down for this.
Yeah.
I'm grabbing my cat pretty strong.
Grab your cat.
Grab your cats.
Grab your cat.
So, my story, if you ever look me up, you're going to find the first thing it always says is teacher of teachers and the thought leader and powerhouse keynote speaker. But the biggest thing is the teacher of teachers. Since I was, we play in timeline that I was born here and ever since I was little, blah, 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 blah. But I don't, because I collapse time constantly, and that's who I am. I don't really play so much as little, but let's go there anyway. So ever since I was little, it's been super easy that if somebody was reading to me the stories of like Neville's stories where he talks about Abdullah, I had no problem collapsing time and going to them and saying, okay, let me teach you. So something that not a lot of people know, but now you guys do. I'm the one that taught Abdullah. I'm the one that taught Neville, right? And it's very easy to do. So when Cynthia was talking to me about a book she's reading right now about the art of the masters of the Far East, yeah, something like that. Yeah, you're muted.
Life and teachings of the master of the Far East.
Yes. So what I'll kind of explain my process to you a little bit. I'll be reading a book like that and something will come up in it to where I'm like, yeah, it's not that hard to do. In that moment, I will collapse time, go to that time, to that master, and teach them a better way. Teach them, it's like, that was great. That was awesome. But do you want to know easier? Do you want to go easier? And this is why this book that is chock full of these amazing, amazing masters is so wonderful, is because I've had no problem. And this is ever since I was small. This is what I do. Ever since I can't even remember how young I was when I got up on the stage for the first time and talked about what we're capable of and who we are. And while money and all of that is fantastic, that's your natural state. That's the natural state of who you are. So there is no, and I love that Jay always says, no hows, only wows. No hows, only wows. No hows, no, only wows. The minute we can erase that, well, how do I do it? You step into your wow state, like Cynthia did when she started talking about the money. She just immediately went into her wow, beautiful state. And actually, Jaye Woww just did that too. When she started talking about her movie after what I said, she, there's this brightening, there's this smile, and it is your natural state. It's who we are. And I love when I can just relax and move into my natural state at any time, any age. My main who I've always been since I was little is this speaker of speakers, teacher of teachers. That I love it, because at any time, what we're learning, we can take it up. What we're learning, we can take it up. It's not that what somebody was teaching wasn't right. It just was the stair to the step to the next step. And the minute I see a past teaching or whatever, past teaching that can go better, I immediately go to that time and say, take it up. This, you want to go bigger? You want to go bigger? So I love that at any time I can go back and play with Aristotle, Socrates. I can go as far back to teachers that nobody's even heard of, that were never documented. And we can interact and we can talk and we can chat and we can do what's, you call, what do we call it? You guys can help me out here. Riffing, just the riffing. I call it a tennis match, because it's like somebody says something, they serve it to you, and you just serve it back even better. But that is who I am. That's who I've always been. That's been what has always called me. When I've done 100,000 other fun little jobs here and there, that is, they're just, maybe work for fun or whatever. But this is me. This is who I am. This is my job, is being the teacher of teachers. I've always enjoyed it. I've always loved it. I've always loved seeing the reflection of me in everybody else. I love that when I see something that can go better, all I have to do is go, yeah. Or as Cynthia says, nope. And you just imagine better, and it instantly happens. I love that with revision. It is so, again, simple as smiling. And I just recently had, again, another situation where I had a hip, somebody might've called it a sciatica problem. But I was like, no, that's not what I'm available for. And immediately collapse time. And again, we give them these labels and it sounds like a process, but it's not. It's just smile, really smile, decide what you want and smile. And while I know we're supposed to be talking autobiography, this is it. It's, I don't play very much in time and space where you have a line. I don't play there. So this is my autobiography. This is me. It's who you're looking at right now, and how she bebops all over the place and plays and collapses time and goes forward and goes behind and goes sideways as I'm doing right now, and goes diagonally. And it's just, again, the biggest thing I always teach, smile. That's why I always have a giant smile. It's just smile. Because in that moment, you are flowing at your absolute highest, and who you are right now is the apex of the God you are. And you hear people say over and over, you're God, you're God, you're God. Well, you're so much more than that, because God didn't exist until you acknowledged God existed. And you're just so much bigger than that. And you're that right now. Not once you learn this or once you learn that. You're it right here, right now. And just smile, because it's that easy. It's that simple to step into that state. All right, that's it for now.
Yay! I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. Yeah, you're just, train the trainer, teachers learn from you. It's just incredible. And I love how people shift around you. I love watching people. And I've heard just so many amazing stories about how people just shift around you just by you being that presence. And it's so evident that you're the one that taught Neville and Abdullah and these powerhouse leaders, because of who you are and that you don't play in time and space. And yeah. Thank you.
And I've read the books of Neville, and I think I don't know if many people have read this one, but there is this book where he's, thanking all the amazing teachers that he's had. And he's talking about Abdullah, he's talking about you and how amazing you were as a teacher, and how, also Jay didn't mention it, but she also was teaching Neville because she was hanging out, slamming doors with Abdullah. And so
keep it on the down low usually, but
and Neville would say, wow, like Kristen is such an amazing teacher, and she slammed the door in my face many times.
He has the hospital bills to prove it. Or did he just revise it?
But yeah, so thank you so much, because you've had so many contributions to everyone basically who is learning with Neville, from Neville, about being God and manifestation, all of that. Like, we are all getting this, like this knowledge that comes from you as well. So thank you so much.
You're welcome. And I love how, without realizing it, you do the same thing. Whoever's watching this does the same thing. What a lot of people don't realize is, and they don't, for me, I live in this, but for them, they don't realize they created us. Whoever's watching this right now, you created this video. You created Kristen, you created Jay, you created Cynthia. You are the master. You are the teacher of teachers. So if you do pick up a book by Neville or whatever, Neville doesn't, really talk much about his teachers, because he understands he created that. There was no Socrates until I just said it. And now you're like, you created all these memories. Oh yeah, Socrates. I've heard that name 1,000 times and whatever, but that didn't exist until just now, when you created me saying the name Socrates. Yeah, it goes that big. Yeah, you go that big. And when you really step into that, again, it's not a process. It's not like, oh, you got to sit and meditate on it or anything like that. You just see it and go, oh yeah, that makes sense. Now you realize why it's so easy to say, it's so easy for me to say I'm the teacher of teachers, because no teachers existed before I decided they did. And yeah, you manifest like that.
We should have a section in the podcast called Going Down the Rabbit Hole.
Yeah, I got all sorts of those all over the place. Poor Alice, she gets lost all the time.
Yeah, that'd be fun.
Yeah. Okay.
Sure.
So
can I say one thing before we go?
Sure.
Cynthia, I love that when you were telling your story, your kitty came up and got in your lap and was right there for your whole story. The minute you were done with your story, she's like, put me down. And so I think, she's part of that new story, the new story that you have enveloped as yours. She's your reminder of that. She's like, when she's in there, she's just like, that's your shift to that, is she's a part of that shift. And when you shift out of that, she's like, yeah, okay, put me down.
I thought it was so beautiful. I was just like, what a beautiful, loving presence that you had with your cat. Yeah, I just thought it was, beautiful.
She is beautiful. It's gorgeous.
Yes, she's gorgeous. And yeah, it's funny that you say that, because yesterday I was thinking about it, like, who am I? The manifestor of Out of Thin Air Cats. And who am I out of that state? And who do I prefer to be? Like, what am I choosing? And just seeing her reminds me of, what am I choosing now? Yeah.
Is that wonderful that you brought that? I sure know which one she prefers.
She burst through the door so she could experience it.
Yeah. Right on. Okay. So next week we have a guest. Yeah, that we get to support, and we get to, when we hear their story, we get to do exactly what we just did for each other. So if any of you ever, feel like, God, I'd love, to be able to do that or whatever, reach out to all the information for our information on Anchor or any of our videos on YouTube is always down below in comment section. And you can get a hold of us, send out an email, and hey, we'll get the ball rolling. That's for sure.
Yeah, just to expand.
Yeah, go ahead.
Just to expand on that. Yeah. So in our bios or in our description boxes on the different platforms, you should see a link that's like bit.ly/slamdoor sessions. And that has all the information about the podcast and a link to request info on being a guest.
Yeah. So if you want to experience yourselves in your ideal state, then come and share that state with us, and let us also have the privilege of taking it even further and go even, best to even better, let us play. Yeah. Let's play together.
There is something so wonderful when you can tell the story you want, and you have other people celebrating, supporting, cheerleading you there. And it is so transformative. And that's what we're here for.
Yeah, absolutely. So thank you guys. And see you next week.
Thank you so much.
Yay!